One more time, please.
Could you do that one more time?
Quiet, please.
My name is Nathan Ellington and I'm an ex-professional football player, and I'm giving my expertise back to the youth through my coaching academy.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I would like you, please, if you don't mind, to introduce yourself to the people at home.
My name is Nathan Ellington. I'm an ex-professional football player. Played for Bristol Rovers first of all, and then I moved to Wigan, helped them get to the Premiership, moved to West Bromwich Albion in the Premiership. Then I had a whole host of clubs in the Championship, and then I finished my career down at Crewe. So that was a very nice long career, and it was very enjoyable.
You have been a Premiership footballer. You have been a striker in a Premiership club. You have walked out onto that pitch in front of thousands upon thousands of marauding, screaming fans, a lot of which were calling your name in hope that you were going to perform. Just tell me how that feels.
Feels the best. Reason why is because obviously it's something that I've loved all my life.
Yeah. And
I've played and I've enjoyed doing what I do but best. And then to have so many people watching you and cheering you on to do what you do best and what comes naturally.
Yeah.
It's not like a pressure. It's not a pressure then, because you just know. You just got to rely on what you know you can do.
Yeah.
So it just was I remember the first day when I went out at for Bristol Rovers, and I was in the tunnel and I was thinking, there's all those people out there waiting for me to come out.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to come out.
Oh.
I just wanted to savor that moment.
Yeah.
And I went onto the pitch. It was just the best feeling ever.
I bet it just got better, didn't it?
Got better and better. Moving to bigger stadiums, more and more fans, and then obviously the ultimate going to Old Trafford, playing against them and scoring at Old Trafford. So couldn't get no better, and we lost. So in a weird way, it's like I scored, which was great, and I support them as well.
Exactly.
So either way, it was always going to be good.
So when that ball hits the back of the net, yeah, and that crowd erupts, what's that like?
There is no feeling, there's no words that can explain that, to be honest. It's just the best feeling in the world, and there's no amount of goals that will stop that feeling going away or lessen that feeling. It's just the best feeling. Any player will tell you that. Wow. Scoring goals is the best feeling.
And now you're in a position where you're teaching others to do what you did so brilliantly well. Yeah?
Yeah, so I have my own academy running in Manchester and in Blackburn.
Yeah.
So I teach kids, with of a certain amount of ability, between under 11s to about under 16s.
Okay.
And
what's the academy called?
Pre-Pro Academy.
Pre-Pro? Okay. Yeah. And it's just you, is it?
No, it's me and a good friend of mine who used to play as well. His name's Adnan Ahmed. He was a Pakistani professional football player. One of the first.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
So it's me and him. We got together. We started this thing ourselves because we want to just give back to those kids and show them exactly what they need to get to that level. Yeah, and if you just want to brush up on your finishing skills, we have one finishing session, so goal scoring session, we should say, and that's on a Monday in Manchester and also on a Thursday in Blackburn. Then we have a general session in Blackburn on a Tuesday. Wow! So it's really
you're talking about brushing up on finishing skills. I need to brush up on my starting skills, because my football days are sadly behind me now. Yeah, I'll just put that down to injury. I won't put it down to old age. So, Nathan, your journey into Islam came a little later in life?
Yeah, it's about 21, 22.
21, 22.
Yeah.
And do you mind just telling us a little bit about how that transpired? How did that come about?
So first of all, the first time I actually ever found out anything about Islam was my older brother. He became a Muslim, and I heard that he became a Muslim. But it wasn't until I spoke with him and having chats with him. It wasn't really like directly about Islam, but he would always mention certain things like, things that I didn't even realize were hadiths and stuff like that. And I always felt that they made a lot of sense. And I had a Christian background, but I never really believed Jesus was like God or anything. I actually thought he was a prophet of God, so that was how I understood Christianity. That there's certain things that I don't really agree with, but in the most part, that's what I would say I would be. You know, if anyone says to me, what religion are you? I would have said I'm a Christian at the time.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I met a lady who's now my wife. Basically, she was brought up as a Muslim, but not practicing at the time. So we met, we were speaking, and it came up the topic about religion. And she mentioned that she was a Muslim, and I told her that my brother was a Muslim, and that a lot of the things that, you know, really make sense to me. And then we got obviously on the topic of a few different bits and pieces and came to the conclusion that, like, I was more along the lines of Islam, understanding of what I believed. So, but I thought to myself, it got to a stage really where she knew that she couldn't be married to anyone other than a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself that I'm not going to be a different religion just because of someone else. You've got to believe something if you want to do that.
It's got to be for you.
I heard many stories about other religions and people becoming different religions just because it's this or that and outside influences. So I thought, you know what, I'm old enough now. I can actually learn for myself. I can go online, I can do some research, and I can actually come to a conclusion myself what's what. And I thought that maybe three different things. Maybe Christianity is right, maybe Islam is something that's right, or maybe these religions are just they're just man-made and just made up. And so that's what I went into the investigation process with my eyes thinking. And it just got to a stage where I went on one website, Christianity, reading up about what it's all about. And that on that day, I'd be very siding towards Christianity.
Mm.
Then the next day I'd be like, okay, now I've got a bit of free time, let me learn a bit about Islam. And as I'm reading that, I'm like, I'm swaying this side now.
Yeah.
So it was like, whoa,
like a pendulum.
Yeah, it was very difficult, but they seem to be similar.
Okay.
And then I thought, how can I work out the difference between these two? Because it's so similar, and I'm swaying one way to the other in terms of, you know, that's what I agree with, that's what I agree with. And then it was more down to the Quran itself, the sources, the Bible itself and the Quran. So I learned a bit about how they came about. And obviously the conclusion is the Quran's never been changed.
Yeah.
It's always been the same form since day one. And the proof of that is there's no two versions of the Quran today.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not possible that there's any other. And then obviously the Bible being created over so many years, 66 different books, and so many different versions, I realized that there is no one Bible that everyone's in agreement on.
There's no credible source.
Yeah, and it never came out in that way anyway.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I just understood that the Quran would be something that is more credible in terms of its authenticity, but that doesn't prove that it's from God.
Okay.
It just proves that it's more credible.
Yeah.
So then I went into learning. I decided, okay, what else can I look at now? It's kind of more siding towards Islam a bit now. And I then found the scientific miracles, all of these things. I started finding one thing, and then another thing, then another thing. And I was like, who could have known these things apart from the one that created me? And so them things were there. And obviously, it wasn't just that. I went onto a website and I looked at the tenets of faith, what you needed to believe to become a Christian, what you needed to believe to be a Muslim. So I got them both up side by side, and I went through the Christianity. You know, you must believe in God, you must believe in the angels, you must believe, and then it said obviously like you must believe Jesus as being your Lord and Saviour, and obviously He's died for your sins. That's the one I couldn't actually accept. But then when it came to Islam, it was so straightforward. You must believe in God, you must believe in the prophets, the angels, you know, the hereafter, and that's it. It's just straightforward. All these people are prophets of God. They just came to relay what God wanted us to know.
You know, if you look hard enough, and with Allah's guidance, you find the truth. Yeah. How did you feel in here when you finally made that decision? How did that feel?
At the time, it was just like everything. It just what it said at the bottom was, if you believe all of these things, then you already are a Muslim.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I said, oh, that must make me a Muslim then.
Yep.
So I'm happy to say that I bear witness that I believe in God and that Muhammad is the last of a long line. Yeah, Sallallahu the last of a long line of prophets.
Yep.
So that day I became a Muslim, and I was obviously happy about it, but it still didn't change me in any way in terms of my actions and what I wanted to do. So that was when the other side came into it. The strength of my belief started coming into. That was further down the line, but that was how I actually came into Islam.
Okay.
So
Did you feel at any stage that you had abandoned your Christianity, or that you had abandoned your Jesus?
no, I didn't, because I realized that the Quran teaches that we must believe in the previous scriptures. Now, the previous scriptures, there's forms of that in the Bible. There's loads of the previous scripture in the Bible still, and in the Torah. So these are the previous scriptures that I must believe in to be a Muslim anyway.
Yeah.
So I understood that I'm not going away from religion. There's Mary, mother of Jesus, in the Quran.
Yeah.
There's a whole chapter. So there's so many things. There's Adam, there's Eve, there's there's Musa, alayhi salam. So there's so many of the prophets that are still there.
Yeah.
So he's not going away from religion. It's actually putting the pieces of the puzzle in the right place.
Brilliant analogy.
So
Brilliant.
you've got a puzzle, and they were all in different places, and you're sitting there. You can't make anything of the picture because it's not in the right place.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, somebody comes along and says, "That goes there, that goes there, that goes there."
Yeah.
It's the exact same pieces.
Yeah.
But in the right place.
In the right order.
Yeah.
So you almost
That's what
get
made me curious.
an idea of timeline
Yeah.
of prophets,
Yeah.
and all of the prophets came to teach the same message
Yeah.
of monotheism, just one God, and they taught in a way that was appropriate to their nation at that time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which Jesus did. Jesus
Exactly.
did exactly that. Unfortunately, what humanity did was kind of made Jesus more than perhaps he
Then he
ever
actually
was.
Yeah.
So then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came about 600 years later and repaired the inconsistencies that had been brought into faith by humanity.
Exactly.
Yeah, and as the last and final messenger of Allah, Allah has said, "We will protect this book. We will protect this scripture. Yeah, and it will never be changed." To the extent where people learn this book, they can recite it cover to cover. Alhamdulillah.
Well, this is one of the miracles. So, the saying we protect it. People don't realize that if you threw away every single Quran, there's millions of Muslims around the world that could replace it, bring it back just like that,
In a couple
because
of
it's
days.
in their memory.
Exactly.
They just write it down,
Yeah.
and everybody knows it's the exact same, because you can go to a mosque anywhere in any country, and anybody can be reciting, and they make a mistake, whether they're a sheikh, whatever, they make a mistake. Even a 5-year-old child can correct him.
When you were 22 and you were going through this process of comparing where you had come from and comparing your faith up to that point with something that felt a little bit new, at what stage were you at in your career at that time?
I was actually in the season where I was top scorer in the league, in the championship, and just getting promoted to the Premiership.
Alhamdulillah.
So it's
and that
about
was
2 months
that was
before.
your doing then.
Yeah.
Top
so-
scorer, and
in
you
the
got
league,
you
yeah.
got the team promoted.
Well, obviously, a lot of my goals helped towards
You got that team
yeah.
promoted with the help of Allah.
Yeah.
You got that team promoted.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So you then became Muslim from within your current career.
Yeah.
How did people around you react to that?
Obviously, my family and friends, they were fine with it. They were
Alhamdulillah.
supportive. It was fine. It was just a little bit of negativity when it came to the football world, because anything different from anything different from the way the football community is, the way they live their life, their way of life, no matter what it is. It could be Islam, it could be anything else. But if it's different, you're like an outsider a little bit. So, if you're not integrated into everything they're doing, then obviously you will be seen as an outsider a little bit. So I didn't take it as Islam that there was against. It was just being a slightly different. That was obviously a year or so, a couple of years down the line, once I started learning and started implementing the ways of life that you're supposed to implement. So
Okay. So did that impede your journey into Islam, or did it help your journey into Islam?
I think obviously I explained. I used to be good at explaining why I need to do things, and that was more to do with. I've got to say a big thanks to Zach and Ike and
Yeah,
Medina,
yeah, yeah.
for the amount of DVDs that
Medina,
they've made,
yeah,
the
yeah.
amazing work that they've done, mashallah.
Yeah.
I watched every single DVD of theirs
Yeah.
over and over and over and over and over again, that I was able to memorize so much of the comparative stuff
Yeah.
that I could reel it off to everybody. And I made it a thing where I was so interested that I spoke to so many people. My family members became Muslim, my friends became Muslim, my cousins became. So it was nice that they were able to take it on as well and understand where I was coming from. I was able to explain it well enough that they would be able to make a decision after further research of their own.
Uh-huh.
So it was really really satisfying to see that to happen as well.
As a Premiership footballer, you were a busy guy. You had a punishing training schedule. Yeah, punishing. And then you had the matches, the games as well.
Mm.
How did you fit your ibadah around all of that?
Well, to be honest, it's not as busy as it seems. I think you got training in the morning, and then you're finished by around 1-2 o'clock.
Okay.
Because it's a very obviously difficult session to go through. You understand, if you did a run for 5 minutes, that's very difficult. If you went into the gym and you went on highest speed possible, that on its own. So if I'm saying like 2 hours of work, that's a lot of real high intensity work that goes on there. So obviously you have to come home and have a bit of rest. But after that, you've got the day to yourself. So alhamdulillah, you can do many things. You could do whatever you like, really, during that time. As long as it's obviously not the bad stuff.
So what time would the training session usually start?
10:30.
10:30
Around
till 1?
10:30, about till 1.
So at no point in any time during the year would that affect any of your break times?
Not really, no.
Alhamdulillah.
No, not really. So training is not too bad.
Amazing.
So there's never really a point where you struggle to pray.
Yeah.
Even in the changing room before a match, sometimes some of the prayers get very close together.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to pray in the changing room, in one the closed rooms, or find a room somewhere in the stadium that you can quickly go and pray for 5 minutes, and then you're done. And then obviously just work it out the times.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very difficult. It's easy to, if you really want to, you can do it. It's not hard. Yeah. So that was something I made sure that I did.
The image of Premiership footballers and their behaviours and the things that they do is often not palatable from an Islamic point of view. Yeah. How did you cope with not being a part of the social scene of your colleagues and having your life independent from that?
To be honest, before I was a Muslim, I didn't really have too much of that life. To be honest, I did have a 2-year spell of that kind of lifestyle, just going out every weekend with the boys and stuff like that. But before that, most people are out from 15, 16. I didn't even go out till I was 20.
Okay.
19, 20.
Yeah.
So I had a 2-year spell when I, went out with friends and stuff, and with the teammates and stuff like that. But it only carried on for maybe a year and a year and a half. That time where the early part of learning Islam, then I cut it off again completely anyway, and then I just wanted to obviously live my life a lot better than the way I knew it was supposed to be done. So that's the way I went. The more I learned, the more I wanted to implement in my own time, and then it just grew naturally. And I got away from a lot of the things that
you also had a natural inclination towards helping other people as well. So you set up an association whilst in that position as well. Just tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so me along with a few other founders, we decided to open the Association of Muslim Football Players. So basically it was there to be a support mechanism to help Muslims and Muslim families coming into this country, and maybe helping them know where the nearest things are, the nearest mosque, the nearest place to get food. Maybe other players who may be Muslim and their families can get together and share commonalities between them. So it was more like that, and highlighting the good things that the top players are doing, just showing them in a good light, because Muslim kids the youth, they'll be looking at these top players, and obviously kind of not idolising, but you know,
that happens.
Yeah,
of course it does.
So using that to guide them into the right way of understanding that you can see him, he's right up there, he's a Muslim, he prays, he eats halal, you know, you can get there and you don't need to sacrifice anything in your religion to get there. So that's what happened, and I wanted to do that because when I first was coming through and as I was getting stronger, I wasn't playing as much, and people for some reason saw me as a little bit more negative in terms of I'm not interested in my football as much. Okay. You know, even in all that free time, and I might be doing whatever I want to do, they would see it as not really interested in football for some reason. And obviously it took a toll on me getting more game time and stuff like that. So it does, even whether it's unconscious or conscious, it did take a toll on my career.
Okay.
It was fully upwards, like a steep upwards move for me. Every season playing all the games, scoring over 20 plus goals every season. Then all of a sudden, I'm not playing all the games. I'm in and out. Then all of a sudden, I'm not scoring as many.
Yeah.
And obviously, the less games I played, the less goals I scored.
Yeah.
Then it was a fitness issue. It became a fitness issue of not being able to play that way I play, which was high energy.
Yeah.
Which you need to have that repetition of games to play like that for 90 minutes.
Of course you do.
So it was a battle. It was quite a battle, and I didn't want anybody else to have to feel like they had to compromise their religion.
Okay.
To get to the higher levels and get playing.
If you had your time over again, would you do anything differently?
No, not really. No, I wouldn't do much differently.
Alhamdulillah.
So.
How many people can honestly say that?
Mm.
You know, Alhamdulillah. From what I can see, you've done absolutely everything right. Alhamdulillah, and may Allah bless you for it, and may Allah bless you and your family here on in, and make your journey through this dunya easy and fruitful, inshallah. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Do you want to add anything to that?
That was absolutely brilliant. I was mesmerised. I was absolutely mesmerised. You're an inspiration.
Yeah, you are.
You're
absolutely.
a lovely guy. I love you.
What a great guy. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
So we really hope you enjoyed that.
For the 21 video series, everything you ever wanted to know about Islam and the Muslim culture,
but couldn't be bothered to ask,
click the link in the top right of the screen.
Also, please subscribe by clicking the red button below if you haven't already done so. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can.
Thank you once again for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.
Assalamu alaikum
Wa rahmatullahi
wa barakatuh. Bismillah.